You know, I did say it's comparable to what the air flight would have taken. Yeah, cars get considerable comparable mileage, I think, to what you would get if per person fly the same distance. Yeah, when you rode 3,000 miles, I think that was on a motorbike, yeah? That's to Aaron Ra.
Aaron Ra doesn't need a motorbike, he just floats. He is Bigfoot, he is God.
He's more pedal bikes now, cycling around America. And that, for me, I see that largely as crazy. First of all, because there aren't many roads through the back of these. Once you get into the middle of nowhere, there aren't many roads. The cars travel relatively fast on them. I don't expect to find bikes there. And secondly, because of the sheer scale of America, what are all those green thumbs for?
So I keep talking, I'm trying to deal with about 100 messages that are coming in for me.
Yes, time to work on the multitasking. Oh, thumbs up for Hayden. Ah, that's... Yeah.
A thumbs up for Hayden?
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the telescope's on that side, and on the other side's the Super Cub, which is... I'm almost feeling guilty about actually going for the price that it does. And it turns out I've actually got loads of spare first-person video gear, to the point where I'm actually considering decking that thing out with first video. Kind of mean if it actually is fairly determined about it. I've got no real problem with that. But let's just say the learning curve of flying planes can be hard on the hardware. So, like for instance, this is here. This is the plane that I flew almost everywhere, and this guy's got some real damage to him. But most notably, you might be able to see that there, that the actual motor is now held on with all glued on pieces of cardboard. So, but you know, the planes, these things are incredibly robust, in that you can actually sort of snap them in half. I'm almost tempted to do it with this one actually. They're very robust, but even if they do break when you crash, you sort of glue them back together and they're ready to go again. And the first-person video kit tends to be a pain in the ass to deal with. I mean, it's got advantages and disadvantages. I mean, this thing, this is the little camera that goes on the planes. I'll hold it up there so you can see it. Yeah, they're only about $100, and that's by far the easiest way to get into the aerial video. Even known as Jesus, eh? Zeus. Yeah, I mean, well, what people call themselves, pearlists, sprites, that sort of thing. If you like, the key point is that atheist, if you like, especially in America, has got such terrible annotations to go with it. I mean, you go over to Europe and you know, it's par for the course. I mean, I remember having dinner in... What the hell? Is that you doing that, DPR? I'll be right back.
Yes, it is. It's supposed to... I didn't want to interrupt you. It means be right back.
Thank you. Thanks for the translation.
Yeah. You're on your own.
Yeah, so I was over in Europe and there were a load of people having dinner, and we had one American there. who was actually a fairly devoted Christian, and he actually asked the question, are you an atheist to one of these guys around the table? Now, it's obvious from the way that he asked the question that to say yes to this question would have been tantamount saying that you're a communist who ate babies for fun. But of course, that wasn't the culture. That's not the culture in Europe, and the answer was, yeah, of course. And that just completely floored this. Just stopped this Christian dead in his tracks. That people would be the difference that there is a culture out there where atheism doesn't actually just carry all this baggage with it. Hey, Donnie, how's tricks? So, yeah, Europe. I mean, this is one of the interesting things of living in different places is you get to sample the different cultures, and the flag that I get off the libertarians is interesting in that I would put folding money that the lion's share of them, 90-something%, have probably never left the country. And yet they purport to have insight into, into what's the best way of doing things. Now, I can assure you that, I mean, it's an interesting irony that I actually work in a lab in America that is essentially populated by Europeans and has almost always been populated by Europeans. And the reason for that is that there are basically no Americans who can do the job. So, I mean, the current makeup of the lab is 2 Swedes, 1 Dutch, 1 Englishman, 1 Chinese woman, and that's it. So the only guy who is actually an American in the entire group is the group leader, as it were, who needs to be American to actually hold the grants. All the work's done by Europeans, which it's interesting that you get all these reflections of Europeans living in America, and the one that is almost universal is just how socially harsh it is to have a culture where there is no guarantee of getting even the most rudimentary healthcare. For instance, if a woman is having a baby in Europe, this is like this is deemed as something that is of such importance that even if you can't afford the healthcare, that the state will actually do this for you. And yeah, you can rationalize this on financial grounds. Yeah, it's not that far to Canada. Unfortunately, the nearest part of Canada to me, in fact, is near Toronto. So yeah.
Oh, do you know anyone that lives near there?
No one who I would like to meet in either daylight or nighttime.
Can I just interrupt very briefly? I get messaged quite a lot at the moment that I'm in darkness and I'm a silhouette. One of my bulbs has broken. The next time that I put a video on, I'll change the bulb and you should be able to see me again if you actually want to. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So yeah, and going back to the flack that I get off the libertarians in the latest video, which is basically a summary of the videos that I've done over the last couple of years. I tried to distill it down as much as I could to the traffic lights analogy. That we have traffic lights for a reason, because safety and security ultimately have a value. And I thought no one could possibly argue against this, and I was wrong. There are at least 2 videos that have gone up saying, no, if we actually get rid of all, there have been, it's true, experiments where in relatively quiet city centres that, you take off a load of the signs and things can run more efficiently. But that's not the argument I was making. I mean, to an extent, we have done the experiment where we turn off all the traffic lights. They're called power cuts. And universally, when you get a power cut, I mean, a few years ago, there was a big one in New York City, and the whole place ground to a gridlock in fairly short measure. So if you like, we've done the experiment where you just turn off the traffic lights, and we've seen what happens. I mean, the system becomes non-viable very quickly. But I was absolutely stunned that people would actually argue against traffic lights. But yeah, I mean, at that point, how do you actually connect to these people? I mean, what can you do? That if people are not willing to accept.
Well, it goes back to a similar conversation that we had in relation to your discussion with Ray Comfort, in a way, that however much you put forward a positive argument, an argument that cannot be defeated, their end position is
actually
God done it. And that is the stumbling point.
The interesting thing is, almost universally, the first thing these guys come across or come up with is that I am the same as the creationists, employing dogma and the such like, and that's why I'm wrong. And of all the things that most annoy me is people just say that I don't understand economics, and that's their argument. That's their entire argument. To which, if you actually want to convince someone, just saying you don't understand is not an argument, right? You've made a statement of opinion, but you've not actually contributed anything to the discussion. But that's almost universally the first thing that they come up with, and they say that I'm like the creationists. But there was an interesting study recently, psychological study, and it basically asked people, what are your political views? And of those who said they were libertarian, they asked them then, some of them were given the questions about global warming. And the ones that said global warming can be countered, and the best way to counter global warming is by deregulation, then they didn't have any problem with global warming, right? Then they said to the others, the other half of the set, they said global warming is a problem, and the solution is more regulation. And then they said that global warming was a conspiracy, and they didn't believe it, right? So a big problem with these is, like you were saying, is they're not connecting with reality because of their ideology, right? So I mean, libertarians are a strange one in that I've never really come across them anywhere else. Now, people did actually say that there are sort of libertarian thoughts in Canada, but I've I mean, Shane DK, he was actually arguing. I actually read through some of the comments on that video, and he was actually coming up with this sort of thing that, no, deregulation will make the roads run better. And it's like, you're fucking crazy, right? We know what happens when you have a power cut in somewhere like New York, and the thing that happens is not that the roads start running more efficiently, everyone gets where they want to more quickly, and there are less accidents.